Hello and welcome to Fishing Barents Sea. My name is DerKrampus. When I first got to the large trawlers in the game, I was completely lost as to how the trawling interface worked and how to actually get fish into the nets and onto the boat. The in-game tutorial really isn't very useful in that regard. It doesn't show you what you need to see on the sonar scan and so forth. So I decided I'd put together a little tutorial and show you at least what I do in order to catch fish. Alright, let's go into the interior view. We'll leave the captain's seat and walk back to the aft seat that we use to control the fishing nets. We'll activate the intercom over here, drag all of our crew members over to the set trawl position, and then we'll click this to set the trawl net. You'll see the trawl doors drop off, start a little bit of forward speed. We want to be going about 4 knots in the trawl usually. Now this screen is where things start to get confusing. The way I have this laid out, you can lay it out however you like, but in the top left I have the depth for the number 1 port and number 2 starboard doors, which you can also see over on the intercom in red and green boxes respectively. I have DP3 in meters, which is the depth of the headline at the top of the opening. Let's actually go ahead and stop the nets reeling out. These two controls control the length of the drag lines that lead back to the doors. And those numbers are represented on the 50s, these boxes over here. That's the length of the line leading to the doors. Now on the intercom you can see that it's actually redded out because we've dropped right onto a school of fish. Ideally this is actually what you want to see when you're dragging through the school, because that means that fish is flowing into the net and filling it up. It's actually a really good spot. I could basically not do anything and fill my net up just right here. You can see down as we fill up, on the bottom left we have the catch percentage. Those are unlockable sensors that will fill up as the net fills with fish. Middle here we have the height of the net, which is 225, the height of the headland on the net, the headline. We have the width of the opening, or the height of the opening, I believe, one of the two. We have the rate of fish entering the net, which right now is at 7, the higher the better. And C, I believe, is clearance off of the bottom in meters. Then we have a nav screen, which is pretty self-explanatory. It shows our heading, our coordinates, and our current speed. The bottom right, we have the sonar display looking forward. That's mounted at the top of the headline on the net, and that will show us about where we need to be. The one on the left here I think is already too close for me to steer onto, but I'll give it a try anyway. I'm going to hold down the A key to turn the ship to port, and I'm going to put about 45 degrees on it, and I'm going to push the throttle all the way up to maximum. The goal here is to drag the net over the fish. And if you look in the sonar, you can see that the ship is now pointing towards the left. We're cruising that way, and as we push, we'll eventually start to see that pod of fish dragging towards the center. And there it goes. As it comes towards the center, we're going to want to ease off the throttle a bit, start turning back to match the lines, turn our stern towards the net. If you watch the lines off the back of the boat, that makes it a little bit easier, because sometimes the actual sonar ping will obscure the view of the boat in the camera. Slow it back down to about 4 knots. And this is what you want to see. You want to have that big blob dead center in the screen. See, now it's drifting to starboard, so we'll drag off to starboard, but I think we pretty much got it. There we go. And now we have fish filling our net. The arrow keys will actually steer the doors around a little bit. Mostly that's useful for depth, but sometimes it can give you a little extra left or right movement. More than anything, you're going to want that mostly centered, because you're going to be trying to center up the blobs anyway. you can see we've got about, I can't tell if that's midway to 20 or midway past 20 on the sensor, but we have either 15% or 25% full down there. It's probably 15. Okay, now this next one is a little bit deep, so I'm going to let some line out, and I'm going to hold the down arrow key to try and increase the depth, and you can see the depth increasing in the top left. There we go, that's about where we want. Now it's drifting to starboard, so we'll give it a little bit of juice starboard. Depth looks about right, so we'll pull those back to neutral. Try and pull this off to the right. See, I might not be able to get this one. We might just catch the edge of it. That's okay. Oh, I don't know what just happened there. Some kind of glitch. Never seen that happen before. Oh, we hit ice. Okay. That's unusual. I didn't know that was a thing in the open sea. Okay, wow. Seems there's a map border out here. I didn't even know that existed. So I'm going to get this ship turned around, and we'll start fishing in the opposite direction. I'll be right back. Alright, I've gotten the ship turned around, and that's actually really cool. You can see the ice on the sonar. That's interesting. I didn't think that that would render on there that way. Okay, now I've already got an almost full boat, so I might as well show you how to haul the nets in. To do that, you're going to set both of your warp wire controllers to inward, and we're going to look up in the top right corner of the screen here, and you'll see those numbers coming down as the line reels in. Additionally, you'll also sometimes, if you have a whole lot of fish in the net, doing this will actually slow your boat down and make it difficult to proceed forward. If you don't have catch sensors, you can really tell when the net's full just by how much drag it's creating on the back of the boat. It's going to want to drag your boat into a line ahead of it. It's going to be more and more difficult to turn, and it's going to be more and more difficult to proceed. Sometimes it'll even drag you backwards as you try and reel the lines in. Speaking of which, we forgot to move our crew members over to the resting position after we set our trawl. You should always do that. My bad. But you can actually see the lines reeling in on either side of the ship. Okay, it's reeled in all the way. You'll see it's listed as 20 meters on each side. And we'll go ahead and select our interphone again, set everyone to haul trawl. And then we'll haul in the trawl net. And you'll see more numbers show up. These are the length of the guidelines leading back to the boards. I don't know why it's a different number, but this is the progress essentially counting down to having the net stowed aboard the ship, or the doors stored onto the stern of the ship rather. Obviously, the farther out you're dragging your net, the longer this takes, and you really don't have to be dragging very far. There we go, the net doors are coming up. And generally, as soon as they're stowed in position, the crew will start unloading the fish and pumping them into the ship. There we go. Lifting the aft end of the net and dropping down the forward end so you can vacuum all the fish out. Alright, that's our storage full. At this point, we can drive right on back to port and call it a day. I hope this tutorial helped. There are some good videos of people trawling, but I didn't really find any that explained what was going on with commentary. So hopefully this will keep you from fumbling around in the dark with all the confusing looking instruments in front of you. Thank you for watching and have a great day.